But let's continue, and let's just talk about Joel Embiid's dominance, because it's absolutely out of this world right now, and it needs to be discussed even more than it's being discussed right now. Shout out to my guy Sixers Matt on Twitter. Go give him a follow. Joel Embiid since Christmas. Bro. Look at these numbers, man. Joel Embiid since Christmas. 42-14, 38-12, 40-13, 50-12, 32-8, 32-12, 25-13, 31-6, 31-8, 31-12, 31-5, 31-15, 34-7, 36-11, 36-13. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Again, we can talk Jokic versus Embiid. We can talk PER. We can talk Raptor. We can talk VORP. We can talk advanced adjusted box plus minus. You can talk any of that stuff you want. You can't argue that Joel Embiid is single-handedly the most dominant player at putting the ball in the basket right now in the NBA. And I think I've said it before, and I did the stream with Swipe and Cam, Denver Nuggets content creator. I think that it's between those two for MVP, and as long as Joel Embiid stays healthy, it will still be between those two for MVP. They're two different types of players. Joel doesn't do what Jokic does as far as being a facilitator from the center position, but nobody in the game is doing what Joel Embiid is doing right now. It's absolutely out of this world. And he's the most dominant player in basketball right now. Let's check out this page on Twitter, Sixers Stats, okay? Sixers Stats on Twitter. Go give that page a follow. They have listed all of the insane Joel Embiid stats over the past couple of days. And we're going to go through all of them because they are crazy, okay? Here's number one. Joel Embiid has scored 170 points in just over 128 minutes in his last 4 games, good for 1.32 points per minute. The only player with a higher points per minute over a 4-game span since minutes became official in 1951 is Wilt Chamberlain. Come on, guys. When Joel Embiid's healthy, you're looking at the greatest center since Wilt Chamberlain. When Joel Embiid is healthy, you're looking at the greatest center since Wilt Chamberlain in the history of the NBA. Let's move on. My guy, Keith Pompey. Sixers center Joel Embiid moved up to 3rd place in the NBA, scoring an average of 29 points per game. Kevin Durant leads all scorers with 29.3. LeBron is second with 29.1. Here's a glimpse of points per game. Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Joel Embiid, Giannis at 28.6, Trae Young at 28. Kevin Durant's out right now. LeBron James and the Lakers are struggling, although they just beat the Brooklyn Nets last night. And we're going to talk about that briefly when I get into the James Harden stuff. But if Joel Embiid finishes number 1 on this list at the end of the season, he's the MVP. He's going to pass them on this rate, absolutely. Because in the last 4 games, Joel Embiid is averaging 41 points and 12 rebounds. Here's another fun stat. Making history 1 game at a time. Joel Embiid joins Allen Iverson as the only 76ers player ever to score 25 in at least 15 straight games. 25 points in 15 straight games for Joel Embiid, dating back to Christmas Day. If he would have, the game that was a blowout, we were up by 22 and Doc took him out and he had 25 points. If he would have passed 30 points in that game, if that game was a little bit closer and he would have passed 30 points, he would have tied Wilt Chamberlain's record for 30-point games, for 30 and 10, 30-point games in a row, I forget. But he would have tied some kind of NBA record of all time. It helps that the rest of the team isn't playing great because he's forced to stay out there and score the entire game. Like, if we had a better team, if he had a better supporting cast, we'd probably be blowing teams like the Pelicans out, and he'd probably be sitting the entire 4th quarter. So he wouldn't have these scoring numbers if he didn't have to put this team on his back for 32 out of 48 minutes. but we're just going to respect it while it's here, man. What else we got? Over the last 4 games, Joel Embiid has totaled 170 points and 51 rebounds. Since 76 and 77 merger, the only players to post 170 points and 50 rebounds over a 4-game span are Russell Westbrook, Moses Malone, Joel Embiid, and Wilt Chamberlain. Wow. And that Russell Westbrook, that was probably that season where he averaged triple-double with the Oklahoma City Thunder, drug a bunch of nobodies to the playoffs, but ultimately couldn't really beat anybody because they weren't a good team. But Russell Westbrook, Moses Malone, Joel Embiid, and Wilt Chamberlain, the only players to total 170 points and 51 rebounds in 4 games. Crazy. What else we got for Joel Embiid's dominance? 38 and 10 in 4 straight games. Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis, Karl Malone, Bob McAdoo, Wilt Chamberlain. There's his totals after the last 15 games. Last night he scored 42 points in 33 minutes. Joel Embiid is the first NBA player with 38 and 12 rebounds in 4 straight games since Bob McAdoo in 75. 48 points and 12 rebounds since Bob McAdoo in 1975. Not Shaq, not Olajuwon, not Hakeem, not Kareem, not Yao Ming. The first NBA player with 38 points and 12 rebounds in 4 straight games since Bob McAdoo in 1975. Taz Journey, thank you for the super chat, my man. MVP'd should be resting during bad teams. I totally agree with that. But he's not, because he has to play the whole game. Because we can't beat bad teams without Joel Embiid. Because we are a bad team without Joel Embiid. Thank you for supporting the channel, my man. What else we got? Joel Embiid has his 4th straight game with at least 35 and 10. He's the 4th player with a streak that long since 1976. Ironically, 76. He joined Shaquille O'Neal, Anthony Davis at 4 games. Only Karl Malone has a longer streak of 5 games in 1987-88. That's 35 points and 10 rebounds. And we play the Lakers tomorrow night. If Joel Embiid scores 35 and has 10 rebounds, he will tie Karl Malone's all-time streak of 35 and 10 with 5 games in a row. Can you imagine that? 5 games in a row of 35 points and 10 rebounds? Crazy. Crazy. 172 people in the stream. Please hit the like button on the stream. That helps me out greatly. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. And consider becoming a member. Joel Embiid is the first 76er in franchise history with 38 points and 10 rebounds in 4 straight games. First 76er in franchise history with 38 points and 10 rebounds in 4 straight games. Not Moses Malone. Not Wilt Chamberlain. Not Dr. J. Nobody. Zero players besides Joel Embiid in 76ers franchise history with 38 and 10 in 4 straight games. What else do I say, man? What else do I say? Joel Embiid scored 40 points in 3 of his last 4 games. The lone exception is 38-point effort against San Antonio on Sunday. He's actually getting to the point where he's making 30 points sound like a light outing. You know what I mean? He's making 30 points sound like